Yes, welcome everybody for this conversation, this debate about business models in the fashion industry. And I think it's really nice that we have different actors, different perspectives from the fashion industry. It will be really fruitful for the discussion. But before starting the discussion, I like to introduce a bit the topic of business models because it sounds like a buzzword. You hear it everywhere. You hear it in Europe and also in India, seemingly. So what is it about? And to be honest, we had last year a conference about business models in the cultural sector in Antwerp. And Ian King was also coordinator of a European project about business models in the cultural sector. And one of the findings conclusions was that it is not about models. It's more about a process. And so it's not a model that you can copy. And now it's finding your own business model. And why? Why I think the essence of the discussion is that we all agree that the way the fashion industry is working now is not the way for the future. It's not sustainable. We heard it these days, yesterday as well, during the sessions, that people want to do it in a different way. But of course there is also the economic reality. So you need to be, maybe not really profitable, but at least you want to live from your business. So therefore it's important that you have a business model thinking. And so it starts from what do you want to tell? What is your story? What are the values that you want to communicate to your audience? And starting from that, you can find your consumers, your audience. You have to look for partners. You have to look the channels that you want to use, the means, the resources, and all that, all the structure, the logical story needs to fit in order to be successful. That is our approach, our definition of business models. But so it is not something that you can copy. Everybody has his own story. So I think as an introduction it would be very interesting to hear what are your stories, what are your values that you want to communicate. So maybe we can start with you. We met each other also yesterday, and you had a collective that is doing very interesting things, but it's up to you to tell your story.
Hi, so I am Nandita Indira. I come from the southernmost part of the Indian state called Kerala. So Kerala is, as all other Indians know, we are known as the goats on country, which is extremely beautiful, greenery around. So quite different from Jaipur here. So so we, not that Jaipur is not beautiful, but that it is extremely different. We have greenery all around. So because of that, our design sensibility is also quite different from the entire country, I believe, because of all the greenery, we did not feel like the natural beauty is around us. It's a personal perspective, so maybe because of that, we if our clothes, our architecture, everything is minimalistic. So we did not feel the need for an ornamentation or decoration. So if you take our architecture, it's very line-based designs, and our clothes are very minimal with white and a line at the end called a kara. So I'm wearing something like that. So it's very plain white and some lines. That's it. So I actually bumped into design, and textile and art, working with artisans. All it was actually an accident. So I was working as an architectural journalist, and one of the architects actually, in fact, I believe his wife was working. So K.T. Ravindran, architect K.T. Ravindran, his wife Amba ma'am, I'm sure that he must be working with you, wrote the book on Indian saris, one of the authentic books on Indian handloom saris, and he and both of them kind of inspired me to travel around India to meet the weavers, and it kind of took off from there. And even meeting Uma ma'am in Pondicherry, all of it kind of, I fell into design in sort of an accidentally, I should say. Yeah, from then I have been working with the textile in Balaramapuram, which is quite near to Trivandrum, the capital city of Kerala. So Balaramapuram has a tradition of 300 years of weaving happening there. So it was actually started by our king Balarama Varma, and we only have this one kind of design, that is plain white and simple lines. So it can be gold or it can be the accentuate, very tiny motifs will be there. And something that I realized is that this design sensibility is very much in line with the European design sensibility and the Japanese design sensibility. So because of that, I was able to easily connect with the customers that I found, and we did not want to change much from what we had, and there was also no need as well, because we were also going. It was a conscious decision that I made that we will only practice a B2B kind of service and not a retail, because previously having worked with magazines, I knew distribution is going to be a quite difficult task. So I did not want to do retail at all, and maybe because I'm a bit of a lazy, rather than people, it's companies. So anyone who wants good design, and we have a minimum requirement of 400 meters, so one colorway, we are ready to work with them. And we also started developing some saris. So our reinterpretation of our Kerala sari, not very much different from what we already have, but then to take something from what Sanjay ji said yesterday, editing a bit. That would be it.
Yeah, that's will be better. Sorry. So you are exporting already, and you're working B2B, business to business. You work with partners in other places in the world.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes. Is Vikram? Yeah.
Hi, yes. I'm Vikram Joshi. Well, I started, as Archana said, my career in 1985 with Handicraft Board, and my first job was to document the traditional prints of Rajasthan, and then on we were supposed to cover Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh and south of India. But when I started working with the printers, especially in Rajasthan, I went to all possible villages, small towns, cities where block printing was happening. Met block printers, block makers, dyers, and since it was a government project, we were supposed to document it, number, and being a textile technologist, being freshly out of college, I thought I knew everything. And when I started talking to the dyer, the printers, I realized that I'm like there, and especially with the natural colors. I had no clue about natural colors. So that is where I started kind of researching, mostly from the Western book, because in India we don't record things, we don't keep records. So 10 years I've worked after this government job with a company called Anoki as a print design department head. In 1995 I started my own company called Rangotri, and which around 2002 became almost stable in terms of financial thing. In 2003 some of the printers came to me because government of Rajasthan and High Court had ordered the Sanganer block printing industry to be closed down. Closed down means closing down almost like 500 families getting jobless, 1,000 dyers, block makers, tailors getting jobless, because it was on the basis of the environment, that the way the water was being disposed. So they came to me and they said, can you represent us, and can you voice our concern? Can you talk to minister? Can you talk to the government officials? And I got involved in that whole movement and then started meeting people. And then in 2005 we managed to get a relief from the Supreme Court saying, okay, you guys can stay here provided you can treat the water. So when this order came, a lot of printers took a backseat and said, okay, we are now in Spain. I said, no, we have been given a time. It's only 2 months, 3 months. and then we'll be again in the same situation. But I couldn't convince more than 20 people whom I took on board as Jaipur block. And these 20 people were people who were established, people who were exporters, people who were deeply involved in the textile industry. People like Anoki, Fab India, Soma, they were all big names, and they all came together, and we bought a land, we built up our little textile park called Jaipur block. We focused on the first and the prime most thing was water treatment, how to recycle it, how to conserve water with rainwater was not much available, but we made a point to collect as much as we can. And solar energy. So in 2009 we started construction. In 2013 the park got completed. 2014 the park was awarded as the most eco-friendly textile park in India, and which made us believe that whatever path we have taken is correct. So my journey from a textile surveyor from the government job to an employee in a company called Anoki to my own company, and now managing director, I see, steps, small steps, 30 years almost. Yeah, so yeah, that's my story about my textile journey.
Yes, Sonalika, you are a model, as been said, for the watches of Dior, but you are also an entrepreneur yourself. So you enable other designers and you promote them. Can you explain maybe why are you doing that and what are you doing?
Sure. So I've been associated with the fashion industry for close to 13, 14 years now. And I've seen, this industry from all different angles, as a model, as trying to retail products of the designers. And every brand that has been mentioned over here, including Anoki, Fab India, even Save the Loom project with Ramesh, I've been associated with most of them. Pratima here, Anuj, everyone, I've worked with them. So I have actually noticed one, great thing about the fashion industry in India at the moment. We all are talking very greatly about zero waste, about circular fashion, which Anuj has been actually working for a long time on it. But I'm very excited to see that every designer, every brand is kind of getting conscious about how environment is very important and how to create garments which is a zero waste product. So, from my point of view, what I understand so far, every fashion week is talking about it. Everybody is, encouraging hand-woven fabrics, embroideries. As a model, yes, it's fantastic to wear something which is absolutely hand-woven, very comfortable, and looks beautiful. As a retailer, sometimes there's a challenge there because, you have to justify the cost when it's a hand-embroidered piece. When it's a handloom, people want to know why is the wait period longer, because it does take that much more time to create something which is hand-woven. So I think, in terms of educating the consumer is one of the biggest things that is happening in terms of transition right now, where we were to where we are right now, to make an Indian consumer, especially India. We have been wearing cotton and block prints as Anoki and everything for the longest time. But even then, right now, we were in that phase where everyone was going for fast fashion, quick fashion, cheaper fashion. So right now, when we actually talk about all this and from different platforms, when we end up educating the consumer, it is a slow process, but it is getting there, and I think it's a fabulous thing that is happening right now in our industry.
Thank you. Let's move on to Pratima, and with Pratima I have a kind of special relation because the dress that I wore the first day on the literature festival, you designed it. I bought it a few years ago, and so I saw your beautiful space in shop and atelier in Delhi. How are you trying to survive, to remain faithful to your own values in a world that is very competitive?
Thank you. It's a very special moment for me being here. Thank you everyone for
sharing us, listening to our stories which you want to share. For me, I want to start by saying that who really started or triggered my process. I think it's here, Uma Prajapati. She's here, she's my guru, I would say, like that, because as a student, when you're very confused, what to do. I wanted to be a designer, but yeah, okay. Do I have to buy fabric and just make, the same process which most of the designers would have. And I don't know, for somewhere I heard about Upasana and I was hell-bent. I remember I tried everything in college to convince Uma to take me as a, internee. And I think this whole thing is so important that I don't know, for some reason I was hell-bent, and and I think, your God's working for you, where I realized I'm talking to my mentor and telling her, ma'am, I want Uma, and Uma walks into the room that day, that very moment, and she had come to meet ma'am, and I was standing there, and she's like, this is spooky, she's right here, Uma, meet Pratma, Pratma, meet Uma, and she wants to intern with you. And I just looked at her and I said, can I? And she said, yeah, come on Monday morning. And I landed there, and the whole process for being there, I realized this is what a designer needs to be. Being sensitized to think, I'm a designer, but I have to be responsible. You cannot just design. There has to be sort of a value system attached to it. Okay, of course we all want to make money, we all have to survive, because I have to pay my weavers, my craftsmen, everyone. There's so many, I have 50 people in my team, I have almost 100 looms that, I have to pay. So, that really at times take over, the process. But, you get lost in the process. And at times, like, I'm in a zone where I'm given up to convince, to tell, like, I'm sure she also doesn't know that I 100% work on handloom. And I feel I don't want you to know. I'll try and make my clothes so beautiful that you will land up buying it. And in the process, I'll just say thank you for buying handloom, because it's our responsibility. I don't know, we're getting lost in the process. So it's always being, I think for me, fashion has chosen me. I haven't chosen fashion, in school, I was a 13-year-old sent, I was an artist in school. I was sent to Paris as an Indo-French cultural program, and landing in Paris as a 13-year-old, looking at people dressed up, looking so gorgeous, and I came back telling my parents, like, Mom, there's something known as fashion designing, and I want to be that, I had no clue what I was talking about. Of course, in the process, you get lost. And, after school, I applied for NIFT and, so on and so forth. So, but the point is, in the whole process, you have a profession, definitely, but at the same time, what are you contributing? So any piece of prama is being touched by 10 different hands before it's finally made. So, and I think it's the most luxurious thing that anybody can do, or is starting from the thread to the final product. And I'm known for my layering, because I always feel, how can I let go of just one style? Layer it, let's have more, give more to people. So I'm trying to club it, but I think I'm just trying to focus again and again on the responsibility part of it, and what is it that you're trying to offer as a designer. And I think I'm trying to do just that little effort. And I'm sure, thank you, Uma. I think I just like to be at that stage, and thank you for starting that journey and showing me something so beautiful, so yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I think your testimony is very, inspiring, and also, recognizable for a lot of designers, I think. You really want to design, also want to be sustainable, but also to survive, and to balance all these things together. It's not easy. So I think it's very brave as well. So lastly, Anouin, you have also a collective, and I've been told that you're responsible for the black collection yesterday, that you were the man behind the scenes. So
students did it. I just got paid for teaching them.
Okay. So you have a very personal approach. So we are curious, what is your story? What are your values that you want to communicate?
Thank you everyone for being here. Yeah, it's actually just personal, nothing else. When people say you're very sustainable, I say yes, I am. But you do so many things, you teach everybody. I just feel I don't do anything for anybody. I'm a very selfish man, and I would like to stay like that. Because I think as long as you listen to yourself and you just do things for yourself, which obviously should make you happy because you're listening to yourself, and if you're happy, then everybody around you is happy, and you can do things for others. Because if you're not self-occupied, you can look at others. People who think that they do for others are probably lying to themselves, because you're never doing anything for yourself. Others, you're always doing it for yourself. So because if you're happier, then I think my design process, or whatever I understand about design, I don't think I knew design, and especially design was always taught in India in English, and I was a little boy from Jaipur who always had no idea of what to say anything in English. So I got into NID because I was really a backbencher. Somebody said you can draw well and you should go to NID, and obviously I didn't draw well at all when I reached there, I figured. So in my third attempt I got through college, and when I went to the first day to the class to start stitching, I said, wow, stitching? Is that what I have come for? No. हमारे गांव में तो, there are women who stitches. I can't stitch, it's like sitting in straight stitch. Now, of course, the idea of straight stitch also comes from Europe, that you have to stitch it straight, the lines have to be, everything has to be straight. Whereas in India, everything is like, whoa. So for me, I said, why can't I stitch like that? It still connects. So I was not rebel. I just didn't know how to respond to a situation like that. And I've been a lazy guy. And because I'm from Rajasthan, I am also very, I can use everything. I just don't like buying too many things or doing anything. I just know how to live within what I already have. Because also personally, I think my childhood has been such that I always believed in, because my father passed away very early, I accepted everything as I got it. Everything is fine. Whatever you give me, I'm okay with it. And I will work through it. So design started like that, and I always, when my teachers asked me to make a garment, I made a garment with a double-sided tape. It was beautiful. It was a good joinery. If I put that in a show now and I say I've done this, I will win an award, innovation award for it. But then the teachers wouldn't let it, because how long will it last? And I would say, I don't know, let me wear it. So I can only tell after 5 years that it will last for 5 years, but you can't ask me now, which is what they did. So I wasn't a rebel, I just continued doing what I did. The strength I have is patience. I can let people speak and I will wait for my time to come, which comes. There's a song also which has come out in my life, which is called Apna Time Aayega. So I'm waiting. My time will come another 30 years or something. But when I finished NID, I decided I won't be part of fashion. And I went to UK to study. I got a scholarship just walking on the street. I got admission in the college walking on the street. I came back, left the college randomly in the middle, and I came back and I started working with the craft sector. I started teaching in lift. Whatever came across my way, and that's how we. Then I got through a show in Japan, basically. That's how my journey started in fashion. And I was asked to do. I always wanted to go to Japan, so I got that offer for Japan, and they said you have to pay. You have to make the collection and bring. I had no collection, so I made a collection for 700 rupees. I went to a second-hand store, bought second-hand shirts, and I just draped it during the teaching hours of mine. So in 3 hours, I made a collection. I went to Japan. I got through that collection to Lakme. And then I started making clothes that I loved doing. And in the sense, I didn't know what to love. I still don't have an aesthetics. I just believe in what I have. I have 700, 8,000, 5,000. I don't think that organic is organic from any part of the world. I don't believe in buying clothes from different parts. So if I'm in Calcutta, I'll buy fabrics from Calcutta, but I won't order it from there. I believe in being local. I've always never understood this idea of global. When people say I sell 20 places globally, I ask them, do you sell any local? They say no. And you can't have a footprint by producing. So what I've been doing is I work with still one guy for 12 years. I've been working with just one guy and two of us. I clean my studio, I clean my store, I put jharu, pocha, like I basically wash everything. I have never had maids in India, even though, you know, we can afford maids, like I can afford 10 maids. But I clean everything myself. So my journey has been self-governed, and it does inspire others, or it does. So what I do now is produce, but I produce for myself. We're the fastest producer in the country, with the technique that we have. We're the cheapest producer, but I still produce 1 or 2 garments a day. And it could be wasting the world, water, I don't care. You want to waste the world of the water, and say, I want to waste it, please waste it nicely. Waste it as much as you want. Because as somebody said yesterday, the world is not, we're not going to kill the world. The world is going to kill us. We're killing ourselves. So I just think it's just been a very personal journey, and it's just growing on its own.
You have indeed a very strong value proposition, as we say in business model language. But I was wondering, do you also know who are your customers, and do you have a direct relation with them, or is it?
It's just I handle my own Instagram, I handle my own Facebook, I handle every personal relationship, which is we call PR. I say PR. So I handle my own PR, which is love in India. And I've always had me representing me everywhere. So I know who my customers are. I don't know looking at their face if they'll buy or not, because India is a very dicey thing. But you talk to somebody, and even if they can't afford, they're my customers because I can afford to give it to them. Because my production is so cheap that I can easily give it to people. So I can make customers for myself. And then they buy. So I'm always looking at people. Also, my clothes can be made by people. So I've taught 35,000 people how to do what I do. So I have people who buy from me, and then they start selling and start making what I do. And next to me only. So I've gone to exhibitions where 5 people are selling what I do. And more expensive than me, and they walk out with more money than I'd make. But again, you have to understand that money doesn't make you rich. What makes you rich is travel. I've traveled close to 40 countries just by what I teach, and I don't have to pay. I live by the minimum cost. I earn probably 1/10 of all my contemporary designers, and I've sold least amount. I still don't have a company. I still don't have a registered company. I pay the least taxes because I've earned the least. But government is very great. They say GST is till 35 lakhs, you don't have to pay GST. I've decided I will not sell more than 34 lakhs. So, the answers are there. The answers are there, clients are there, you, my client, all of us are my client. Just good people are always my clients.
I think you have a very strong business model. Yeah, you control everything, and in a smart way. So, and also, I think that's typical also for creative people and companies, that growth means something else than in the traditional industry. As long as you can keep the control and there is a balance between the creative and the business side, then you're happy. What I understand.
I think it's just your happiness. It doesn't matter what anybody else. If you're happy, everybody else around you is happy, and that's how it goes.
Okay. Then thank you very much. We listened to different stories from different perspectives. Some are really designers, and other more entrepreneurs, but they are all entrepreneurial, I think, even the designers. But I want to look at the audience. Are there some questions? Maybe you can relate to one of the stories that you say, that's also the way I see it, or you have more questions about the different stories.
I think personally, I started selling garments at 7,000 rupees. My average price was 7,000 in 2007. I sell my garments in 2020 at 6,000 rupees now. That's the average price. So I've reduced my costing. In the love of making something, you cannot make it so expensive and then try to be sustainable. You can't have a person working for 38 hours on one garment and then say this is sustainability. You also have to look at the sustainability of that person's life and going back home. So sustainability is not just about a fabric or a garment. Connecting sustainability to a material is probably the biggest myth we have. It's about us first, will we sustain as humans? Once we fall in love with ourselves, and with ourselves means also people around us. So if you're making a very expensive garment and it's not selling, then it's obviously not sustainable. Will you sustain? No. So sustainable, you should be able to sustain. And so therefore design becomes an aspect where you do what you can afford, not what you can't. Because design teaches us dreams. Like, if I had this kind of tailoring, if I had this kind of fabric, if I had this kind of facility of making, then I would do this. No, you already have the beauty that God has given us within us. Look at that aspects, and I think within that you can always build something very nice and cheap and beautiful, which can be afforded by people. And of course, not everything can be bought by everybody, so you don't have to reach out to everybody. You can just be happy with few people. At the other hand, I think design should be treated as an art also now. It's high time that we start working like artists, where we only produce 10 garments a year. Sell them may be very expensive, but it can inspire others to automatically make their own garments.
I think you have a good point as an individual entrepreneur, but of course from an industry perspective, also the industry has to change. Maybe you can respond on that, because you
I
have
want
more
to add something to
audience.
that,
Yeah.
because I do just the opposite. My garment takes 3 months for the fabric alone, and then embroidery another 15-20 days, or if it's more, then maybe a month, and then before it reaches you, it's almost 4 months gone. So the point of the matter is, I mean, in fact, I've been debating with all my people, because most of them are saying, ma'am, this doesn't work. You're making everybody wait for 3 months for just one outfit. I said, that's the idea. I want to slow it down, because first of all, he's waited 3 months for that one outfit. He's paid a bomb to buy that outfit. It's not bomb, $30,000. It's not too much. But if you paid 30,000 for that outfit and waited for 3 months, you're going to take care of it, and you're going to make sure that you value it enough. And I feel, have 5-6 pieces in your wardrobe, but love them, love them to the core. And I think the sustainability, I mean, touch wood, it's worked for me, and it is working. So if I can't go below that, because everything comes for a cost, right? Pay ethically to my weavers, to my workers, to everybody. I mean, I have a dog also, I have to feed him. So we have to take care of everything, and I make sure that through my process of what I do, I make sure that I can deliver that. So I think I like the idea of slowing it down through whatever you do.
It's more slow fashion indeed, and it's very consistent, what your story. But is it difficult for you to find customers, because the price is probably higher, because one piece is
I
more
think that's why I
expensive?
keep doing, I go to shows wherever, it's understood. And yeah, so you have to be at it. I think my job becomes that I have to go out and talk about it and what I do. So that's it. And I think somewhere somebody is listening and will come back to you and buy. I think, like, I was getting into the rut of what people is telling, no, you have to have a social media, make it strong. I tried very hard, because I was going against what I believe in, and I suddenly have stopped. I said, let the social media be, let everything be, and just enjoy the process. Like, I think if you are happy, like I believe in what he says, if you are happy, everything around you will be happy, and start believing in what you do. And I think somewhere something will come along, and that's exactly what's happening. I think it's more spooky than I think, because it is working. So if anything you want cheaper, there are many knockoffs of mine available. You can buy that. But yeah, there's this one story I would like to share. There's a Louis Vuitton store in China, where the manager was here, and he had a huge, beautiful store. And just opposite the store, a knockoff store was opened of Louis Vuitton, right? And everybody was concerned, why is nobody talking about it? And when the manager was asked, what are you going to do? He said, I'm going to do nothing, because those are my aspirational clients who can't afford me, are going exactly there. And I'm sure somewhere down the line, when they have the money, they will come and buy me. So I'm not going to change. It's okay to be whatever it is. He believes in that. I believe in originality. So be it. And I think we have to live with that duality. We have to let it be, and what you believe in, and if you don't, so be it. Let them be, because that's their way of believing in it. So I think it was difficult to come at this point and start believing in that, because at times you get angry, you're human. It's like, he's copying me, it's my look, it's my look. I was like, no, now you have to let go. It's okay, so.
Deal with that. Okay, yeah. Yes, you're right. It's on a systemic level and on the individual level. But indeed, maybe the other panel members, they can react on.
So one thing I think is because of the consumerism that has prevailed in the society so much. So one question I want to ask you is, how many pens do you use a year? In a year, how many? You don't know exactly the reason. So we have been, trained in a way, or at least my generation might have been the last ones to have been trained like that. So in schools, we only used ink pens, and we don't throw away our pens. We use it. So we had this interaction with some students, and they were complaining that none of, complaining about, okay, how the older generation, like, taking the idea from Greta Thunberg. So they were talking about how the older generation is not doing something. Okay, for them. But one of the things that you should understand is you yourself, like, might be using, okay, every year you might be changing your school bag or college bag or whatever, and you might be buying things that you may not even need that, but then you keep on buying those things.
I'd like to add to that. Somebody once said this to me on Facebook. In fact, somebody wrote on my page saying, there's nothing glamorous about consumerism. And I completely disagreed with that person at that moment, because we were talking about this grand show of this great designer. And I just felt it was kind of an insulting statement to make, but over a period of time, I've actually understood what she was trying to tell me. And I feel what you're saying, 600 rupee, Anuj has already answered the question. In India, we do have weavers. For instance, say there is Jharcraft, which sells a sari. You can easily get a cotton printed sari for 600 rupees. So there is, sustainable fashion for everyone available. It's just a matter of how you want to see it. So something that, like I have a piece of Anuj's, which I don't know if he remembers. I got it from him maybe 13 years back. And he himself has taught me how to repair it, because it's just these elastic bands you put around, and so I still repair it and wear it. So as he's saying his time is going to come, I don't know how it is going to come, because his one outfit has lasted me 13 years and it's still very relevant. So own less things, but own the right things, and it's all about educating the consumer. And in India, we do have a varied, platform of things where you can get something very expensive with intricate embroideries with a long wait period, but it should be something very special. At the same time, if you have lesser money, you still can get something which you will wear for, with so much love. Okay, thank you.
Yes,
thank you.
educating consumers.
There are some other comments, but thank you for raising the issue. Yes?
I think in continuation with what some of the young people are angsting over, what we are discussing over here is a very small percentage of the Indian population. I have grown up in a home, and I'm an urban girl. I was born in Delhi, but I've grown up in a home where I've seen my uncles owning only 2 pieces of cloth. Just 2 pieces of cloth. Every day one would be washed and dried and worn the next day. And these were rich people. I'm from a Marwari community, and these were the businessmen in their villages. But they just owned that, because they didn't need cloth to be a symbol of their riches or their status in society. And I think this consumerism that has happened is a recent phenomena in our society. And when I say recent, in terms of our historical era that we have. So I think it's still very deeply ingrained in us, the whole concept of sustainability. It doesn't have to be through clothing or how many we own or who's making sustainable or who's organic or whatever. As a society, we are extremely sustainable. And what some of the kids are angsting about are sustainability that is seen in a Western concept, because we haven't written enough about our own sustainability. How many of you, I ask my students every time, how many of you throw away a pair of jeans when the zip breaks? How many people have done that in this room? In India, you don't do it. You don't do it, right? if your shoe even breaks in half, you go to the local cobbler and you get it repaired. We are a sustainable society, and we are at a cusp where we can choose to go the Western way, or we can go back to our roots. And the young people should really look at that, going back to our roots.
I do get the point, and it's really, really valid that we are like that. The only problem here is that the speed of change that India has changed in 15 years is quite alarming. It's so alarming that the 30% of it is already become, in last 15 to 20 years, the 35% of the population already understand exactly the opposite point of view. They will throw away everything in every minute. And the moment this 60% of the population, which is us, in another 15, 20 years, you, me, and all of us are gone, you will see an India that will not be handleable if we stop not, because we have to start taking it back to that system. Yeah. Yeah, it's happening because of these discussions. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, true.
Thank you.
Yes, exactly.
I would like to add a point. You mentioned that West did not, or West is adopting from us. West is not, India is more sustainable than West. But in fact, I would like to point out an example. Personally, I have been inspired by an architect called Laurie Baker. He's a British architect who came to India and who taught us sustainability, who 60 years before, even before the world coined the name sustainability, he brought sustainability to us. So when you say that, sustainability is something that we only have.
Okay, yes. Let's.
We talk about sustainability. We are not talking about our sustainability.
Can I make a point, please?
Okay.
Okay.
Everyone has his own voices.
In the West, we make, do, and mend, and it's always been in our culture, as it has been in the Indian culture. We all make, do, and mend. We mend our zips. We darn our sweaters. We don't throw clothes away. So don't tell us in the West we don't mend our zips, because we do. But we all have it. In India, we have it. We make, do, and mend. In Europe, we make, do, and mend. We all do this. It's part of our culture for all the globe. It's just now with fast fashion, people tend to throw the fast fashion away. Garments are reused. Fashion isn't thrown away. I made that discussion yesterday. We don't put fashion garments in the bin. We all make, do, and mend. So it's not that someone brought it here or somebody didn't have it. We all have it. We just got to remember it and remind the young people that we're responsible for their education on how to do it.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I learned also that in India you have always very lively discussions, and I see that it is increasingly lively, but I have to keep the time as well. So you can have a last comment, and then I want to finish with the time. Thank you. After these words of wisdom, Archana, you are taking it over, or can you? Yes. Yeah, I just wanted to ask the panel, and it will last some more 10 minutes, to give a short recommendation to the students. We are in education institution regarding the future and their sustainable business model, perhaps, or what should they do? So try to be very short and not also in one sentence. What should you recommend to the new generation?
New materials. I try to adapt to the whatever is going to be the future. We have no clue what is going to be, whether it is going to be positive or not. And then another thing is unisexual clothing. So that would also be great.
Well, I would say, like, you have to be grounded, you have to be local, and then you have to, in your thought, you have to be global. Unless you look around your what is available to you and make sure that you do a least amount of impact on the whatever you're doing. But as I said, be local and think global. That's what I would suggest to the students.
Social media drives a lot of consumerism, a lot of buying these days, I feel, because it just requires you to constantly look new in new clothes, new everything. So I'd say that maybe for the youngsters, not to get so influenced by that, maybe have lesser things and style it differently if you have to be seen on social media, but just to have own the right things. That's it.
I think just enjoy life because you don't have, this is just part and parcel of whatever, and just love what you do, whatever it is. If you have to clean your house, just keep cleaning and keep it clean, or if you want to make clothes like me, just keep doing, but be in love with what you do, and just be happy. I think we're missing out because ultimately we're here to stay and we're here to be happy, so thank you.
Yeah, almost everybody said everything, so I will say something else. Don't listen to anybody. Don't listen to us. Also, it's learn the art of learning, listening to yourself. Just that is the problem. Like, there's too many voices. There's so many ways. Somebody saying something from this side, somebody saying, So ours is right now. It's a very the attention span is very small. So have a longer attention span, have patience, because and believe that you're going to live longer. Because if you're going to live 60 years, then midlife crisis come at 30. And then I very often ask students this question right in the middle of fashion, this thing, how long do you want to live? In India, I often hear people say 50. I said, idiot, I should die next 2 years? It's not, I didn't mean that. If you think that, one thing I would like to say is believe that you're going to live 100 years. The moment you think that way, anyways, it's an assumption, we might all die tomorrow, but the thing is, if you believe that you're going to live longer, you have lots of calmness in you. Once you are calm, you will find your own answers. We all might be wrong, you might be also wrong, I might be right, all of us are right in some way or the other, and we're all going to be right and wrong, but just be patient and believe that you're going to live longer. Everything else will be fine.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It was a completely an engaging session, very engaging, and I think very thought-provoking in terms of new insights that you've gotten today. While Anik started with the business model, and a business model is where we all talked about, and we concluded saying that there's no model. And there's a model that we all need to bring forth, which is going to be completely the way we think, and it's relevant for us. And while I was just getting to understand that we've been talking about the concept of the East and the West, the cheap or the expensive, it's again very subjective. What is cheap to you may not be cheap to somebody else. What is expensive for you may not be expensive for the other. So even the best is something I think we've learned from each other. There are good practices that are everywhere on the planet. And why we are talking about this whole colloquium is there's a shared future, and a collective consciousness is very important for this shared future. And this collective consciousness is about being responsible towards oneself and towards a community, rather than saying that it was that we should have not done or this is we should not. Whatever we did it because that's a part of our evolution. It's all about learning by doing mistakes. And I think we do our mistakes to learn and become better. And each human being's journey, and even that, similarly nations go through their own journey. And I think the planet is going through its journey, right? So we are all learning from each other, and that's an opportunity of bring together all thought leaders from across the globe to talk, share, build, and bring that collective consciousness. Now, if we have 15 countries who are representing in this room, which means 15 countries are going to be a part of this new collective consciousness of responsible living. And this responsible living, our clothes is only one aspect of our responsible living. It starts from the time we wake up, the time we go to bed, the way that we use our time. So everything is where we talk about responsibility.